don't live alone. She's a divorcee.
That's why she got divorced.
I
She didn't cook enough.
said, she says, why? I says, I'd like a kugel. What kind of kugel? I said, a parva kugel, Lakshman kugel. Oh, she says, I can do that. So I'm thinking that she's going to help me in my kitchen to make the kugel. But no, she leaves and she goes home and makes two kugels. One for the freezer and one for me to eat, like, for lunch. So, why am I telling you that?
Telling us the story of the Cholent.
The Cholent. So, yeah, how did I get to that?
Well, I figured the Cholent story started with a kugel story. You're the one telling the story.
So what happened? So she brought back the kugels?
Oh, she brought the kugel, one she put in the freezer. And not only that, the first time she came, she brought me such a pretty bouquet of flowers.
Oh, wow.
The colors were so vibrant, they were just beautiful. And the next time she came, she brought me a dress.
Wow.
It's like a shift, really. And she says, we can go and sit on the patio, you can get in the car and you could ride, and we can go to Buckingham Palace, you can go see all these
Fountain.
nice things. You shouldn't be in the house all the time, And so I want to make this cholent, and I get, so she brings me meat for the cholent.
Ah.
I put it in the freezer, and then I make sure that I have all the other ingredients. I go to look for this recipe, I can't find it. And I don't know it offhand. I looked and I looked and I looked. And then I remember that when Chevy was here, she took a picture with her phone. She took a picture.
Wow.
And I was sure it was of that recipe. So they're asking, I don't know who asked Chevy, and she said no, she doesn't have it. So I call her, and I said, Chevy, did you take a picture of it? She said, I did, and I don't know what the kids were playing around, and I had it, and then I deleted it accidentally. So here she's the one who had the recipe. And she says, if you look under C's, and I'm picturing S-E-A-S, what is she talking about? And she says, look under soups. Soups? Yeah, Bobby, don't you remember we were talking about soups? So I go to my soup file, and I'm looking for a tattered torn or, an old recipe that looks like it was used a lot, and I pull it out of this bunch of recipes. It's the recipe.
Wow.
Would you believe I never ever would have looked under that?
What about before you found the recipe, you were looking for the descendants of the woman who had the recipe?
I knew the woman's name, and I knew she passed away. So it dawned on me to go to the Achenu. And there's only one family that has that name. So I call and I say, are you, I'm sorry to bother you, you don't know me. Are you related to the late Edith Vogel? She said, she was my mother-in-law of blessed memory. And I'm telling her about the recipe. She says, my mother-in-law used to make so much. She says, we don't even, I'll ask my sister-in-laws. So she calls me back and she says, nobody knows. Nobody remembers her making a cholent.
She must have been a real good cook if it was a notable cholent, and she made so many good things that didn't even go on the radar.
Well, you know what? I changed.
Or maybe the cholent was so forgettable.
I changed the recipe because she had these big hulking sons, and her husband, I think, was a big man too. So she put a lot of meat in and not so many potatoes. But as a child, I remember a cholent with potatoes. I don't remember meat. So I made more potatoes than meat. And it was really good. My father loved it. He says, you don't have to wait for Shabbos to make cholent. You can make it in the middle of the week too, So, and Zadie would say, it's worth $1 a bite. So everybody loved the cholent. So I made the cholent. David made the cholent.
What? So how did you find the recipe in the end?
It was
under
in with the soups.
It was put back in the
When I was talking to her, we were talking about
Debbie,
soups.
Did you
And
call
I
the
must
lady
have had the
back and
recipe.
like, I found the recipe?
I sure did.
What'd she say?
She says, can you send me a recipe? She says, all my cousins and my sister-in-laws, everybody here, everybody in New York wants the recipe. Debbie says, can you send me a recipe? And who else wanted it? Who did I talk to? I didn't talk to Kana. Mindy's husband, Rowie
Oh,
wants.
he cooks, yeah.
He cooks. He wants the recipe. So David made it. So that's what's in the kitchen now. Cholent.
Let me review
So I emailed recipes to everyone that was interested.
Yeah.
I didn't get the recipe.
I got the recipe.
Was I not a person of
Didn't I
interest?
put you in the email string?
Hmm.
I'll
I
send you
left
one
out.
now.
So then she said, when I called her back, I said, you know what? I didn't know David was going to write everything that was in the back of the recipe. I said, those are just hints. Oh, she says, I thought this was all my mother-in-law's. So she says, can you
Gotcha.
explain? But I didn't explain everything what I wanted from her mother-in-law's recipe was what kind of beans to put in and the amount of the seasoning. That's all. The rest was mine, and it's a combination of hers and mine. And whatever, there was a man who, I got hints from some man who wrote about the cholent that he used to make them. That's my story,
And you're sticking to it.
and I'm sticking to it.
So bring meat